And the pain-like emotions, just to say it again, are pain, frustration, disappointment, grief. Sadness is in there as well. So those are pain-like states of emotion. Conditioned punishments. Those are things that indicate that a punishment is likely. Some of them you can learn, some of them you don't have to, because they're already built into you. The negative emotions are dampened by serotonin. That's the fundamental brain system, fundamentally. The serotonergic system is like a conductor of the orchestra. It keeps everything in balance. And GABA. GABA is an anxiolytic. It makes people less anxious. It's endogenous. Your brain produces it. If you take Valium or barbiturates, they act on the GABA system, and so does alcohol. That's part of the reason why people like alcohol, because it dampens anxiety. Now, for some people, alcohol also produces dopaminergic activation. So they really like alcohol because it calms them down, like they're not anxious anymore. And it also it produces incentive reward activation like cocaine. So for some people, alcohol is an absolutely deadly drug. You can probably find out if you're susceptible to alcoholism quite straightforwardly. If you want to find out, sit in a bar, take your pulse, down 5 shots, 4 shots if you're little. You got to get your blood alcohol level above legal intoxication, or you won't be able to tell. And then take your pulse again 10 minutes later. If your pulse has gone up 8 beats or more, watch it, because you're probably producing an opiate response to alcohol. Secondary consequence of the opiate response is a dopaminergic response. Reasonable probability that you'll like alcohol enough to find it difficult to stop drinking once you start. Some of you are probably like that, right? You have a few drinks, it's like, yeehaw! That's how we do it in Alberta anyways. So, so part of that's cueing the incentive reward system, and because it's an approach system and it's being cued by the alcohol, you just continue to hit it. And the dopamine kicks only occur as your blood alcohol level is rising. So you have to keep nailing yourself with alcohol, because otherwise your blood alcohol level won't keep rising and you won't get that nice enthusiasm and assertiveness that goes along with the positive element of alcohol. Neuroticism. So this is the neuroticism dimension. There's a gender difference in neuroticism. Women are about half a standard deviation higher negative emotion than men. It seems like a cross-cultural universal. The difference is more enhanced in egalitarian states like Scandinavia, which is exactly the opposite of what you'd presume, right? If you were, say, a radical, I can't remember the name. If you're someone who believes that everything occurs as a consequence of socialization, as you equalize a society, the gender differences in personality become larger rather than smaller. So, which is, you know, not what anybody expected, but that's what happened. So, boys and girls seem to have about the same level of negative emotion, but as soon as puberty hits, women become higher negative emotion than men. On average, there's still a lot of overlap between the genders, and it never goes away again across the life course once it kicks in puberty. And the reasons for that: women are smaller, their upper bodies are weaker, so they're more physical, they're at a physical disadvantage if they're in a dominance dispute, they're sexually vulnerable, plus they have to take care of infants. So I think those 4 things are probably enough to tilt the nervous system of women more towards negative emotion. I've often thought maybe that women's emotional systems, the negative ones in particular, are actually not tuned to the woman. I think they're tuned to the woman-infant combination. So, you know, if you think about it for a bit, it almost has to be that way, because an infant has to be carried around for like a year and a half. And so, at that point, when you have an infant, and maybe you're going to have 10, you know, you guys won't, but in the evolutionary past that would have been the case. You'd have an infant for much of your life, and then you'd be a grandmother and have an infant. It's like, why wouldn't your nervous system be tuned at puberty for the 2 of you instead of 1 of you? So how could it be any other way?